What is up, everyone? Welcome to the Jets-Alorian podcast, and it's good to have you here on the BX Sports Jedi Network in our new home in Opus. So let's get right to it. The New York Jets, their season comes to a conclusion yesterday in Miami. Man, 6-11 in a game where you've seen a lot of ugly. Now, I had to give it a couple of hours just to give my thoughts on the whole Jets season. It was a roller coaster of a season. It all started if Zach Wilson's going to play. Flacco starts the season. If Wilson's going to come in, they bought in back and forth. One thing I'm going to say, I know today is Black Monday on the 9th of January. When that's the day of the NFL teams decide if they're going to remove their head coaches or not. We already saw Kingsbury fired from Arizona. Lovie Smith no longer part of the Texans. And if this video, when we're recording it or we're doing this video on this live stream, anything were to break or afterwards, we'll come back in regards to the Jets. Now, back to the Jets, I don't know if they're going to make a coaching change. As of right now, if you're Woody Johnson, I know he was very irate. He was didn't want to speak to the media. He says, but all things are on the table. Everybody's should be evaluated equally, even the general manager. Although personally, I would not like to see the general manager leave. I understand he doesn't have a winning record. And also when he took over the job, the cupboards was very bare here for him to build. And I understand you guys could hammer him with the second pick of the draft here in Zach Wilson. And also Mekhi Becton doesn't help either. I understand that, but he had to get a quarterback at that situation. But I think his scouts kind of failed him when it comes to Zach Wilson. Personally, there wasn't. Everybody got ooh and ah with Wilson's pro day workout. They didn't really scout him well coming out of BYU with the pandemic season, so forth, soft schedule, whatever the case is. All the excuses excuses that they brought up for why Wilson might have been a fool's gold. Personally, I've said it here and I said it a lot of times. I think Zach Wilson was mismanaged. Also, if you look at his intangibles, I think Zach Wilson is too short. I've said it so many times, and I know everyone wants to come back at me with and push back, rightfully so. Well, Kyler Murray's short, right? But Kyler Murray just got his coach fired. Also, Drew Brees, Hall of Famer, but he had to leave for his first destination and wasn't uncertain where he was going to go. He went with a hell of an offensive head coach in Sean Payton. A marriage made perfect. Is there room for Zach Wilson to grow in the NFL? Possibly. Is it going to be in the New York Jet uniform? Possibly not. I think personally he doesn't fit what New York City quarterback should be. What is that? Well, first of all, you got to be tall. You got to be able to see the field. I understand now the NFL game is a lot of shotgun, but you still need someone with understanding who could see the field, could see the safeties, who could see, you know, the whole surveil, not panic. Well, and do you want to credit the off? Do you want to blame the offensive coordinator? I think the offensive coordinator is going to get fired. He will no longer stay with the New York Jets. I don't see him returning as the offensive. I think he's the scapegoat for this season. Also, the proof is in the pudding. You bought in, you lose 6 games in a row to close out your season after being 7-4 around Thanksgiving. Oh, this team is gonna make the postseason. We're gonna break this drought finally, this 12-year drought. And it was up to that point we were excited. I think the mismanagement of the quarterback, and I'm gonna put a little blame on the head coach on that. When they decided to go to Mike White, no matter what it is, no matter what the narrative is, no matter what he did say after that New England loss, he should have never allowed the team to come out with those Mike F and White shirts. No way, no how. Not seen in public whatsoever because it told us there was deception. There was dislike to that young man. It's like for instance, you're wearing you're issued a company shirt. Like, I work in a company. And I'm in the construction business. So I wear a company's XY shirt. I work for ABC company. And if I go to show up to work with Z XYZ, it doesn't look good. And that's been going around this whole theme of this weekend. For them to, while you're still employed there, or your boss from that's a better analogy. You want you want the supervisor to be your boss's job. It was a bad thing. He should have put the kibosh and put a stop to it. I know the analogy was a little off, but he should have not allowed them to wear that, no matter what, how much they felt, how much they disliked, or at least to come out in public perception or eye to the eye, and kept growing on it. Because how is that kid gonna feel? He looks, oh, they can't stand me. Like, screw you, pals. You know, that's another thing. And that blames it on the head coach. He has to set the tone for allowing it to happen. There's things here with Salah that a lot of red flags. The way uh, Garrett Wilson was talking for a rookie about not getting the ball, about throwing his quarterback under the bus, not getting the targets. That he should have put the stop to that. He pulled the kid to a side. You got to make an example. Elijah Moore wanted to be traded, not traded. Dude, you just got here last year. Relax. For you to be asking for being asked to play more or to get the ball thrown his way, requesting a trade back in October, and he had to put too many loose lips coming to the media. And of course, you cannot blame Manish Mehta. Manish Mehta is no longer part of the beat writer there for the Daily News, who used to get all the dirt and all the insights there. So the spy or the media puppet is no longer really there. This is just coming out free ill and will. And there's a problem with that with the head coach. You got to have a tight lip there. That's a red flag. Do I advocate for Rob Saleh to get fired this year? No, because I don't think there's another alternative for the New York Jets to bring in here to start all over, or a coach out there that's going to knock your socks off. Because Sean Payton, regardless of how much he's excited, it's going to cost a bunch of draft picks to get here. Secondly, I don't think he wants to coach the New York Jets. I don't know, money talks, BS walks. There's a lot of other names out there. You don't want to get a retread. I don't think Frank Reich has earned a right to have a third head coaching stint here. He's failed twice. Um, there is no right now. You have to really evaluate if you're gonna go. You're gonna go big, and I don't know if this Champagne is gonna be it. There's also talking about the Rams head coach McVay. Sean McVay wants to leave Los Angeles, but I don't know how that's going to happen either. Either unless you're starting all over again. And first and foremost, who in the world is going to be the quarterback? We all saw that it's not going to be Mike White. It's not Wilson. There's a reason why White has been back and forth with organizations, and he's good, but then we find out that he had five damaged ribs. Terrible job. If he had five damaged ribs, why didn't you just play Flacco? And then Flacco, another one who doesn't look like he wants to even be on the field. So you brought Chris Strebler in, and Strebler, when he came in for the Jacksonville game, he moved the offense. He moved the offense with some RPOs. You saw some. He did have some throws that were really on time, short throws in the field. Underneath stuff, nothing. And he didn't have to, wasn't asked to throw anything big, but with the RPO sprinkled in, you saw another dynamic in this LaFleur offense. And I was shocked that they didn't go to him neither. And hey, you could say that on the head coach. There was a couple of games that first game with the Patriots. I believe if you would have made a quarterback change for Mike White there, we win one of those. We win not even one, but both of those Patriot games. It's another thing with the head coach. I know he's learning, and they all learning together, and he's got to learn when to pull that pull the starter if he doesn't have it. And I understand if you have two quarterbacks, you have none, and you can't be all the time going to your running. You got to let your quarterback work things out. But when you have a game that's about their man win, and at the quarterback helm, he is the detriment, or he is the reason why you're not able to get over that hump. You gotta do something for that group of guys on offense and defense that are out there busting their butt. I believe I hope not. I think they wasted a really good defensive year from the New York Jets defense. What's the odds that they could come back next year and be this good? Sophomore slump from a Sauce Gardner. Hopefully not. Knock on wood. Or an injury. DJ Reed. You could now there's film how he plays in the first system. How they gonna attack those corners. And one thing again that's not even talked about, LaMarcus Joyner not playing in the last few games. You could say so much about Sauce Gardner and Reed, but Joyner was a big part on that in that safety secondary there. You see that it was sorely missed, and when he plays, the defense takes another game to another level, and he's just solid for that team. Now, can they duplicate that defense? Well, good thing about the Jets, most of their players are returning next year. That core is returning. They sign what they spend this upcoming season a lot of money to bring some of these players in for at least for the next 2 years. They will be part of the Jets core. Would you like it? You don't have to pay. Also, the young rookies that you drafted. That's what that's why I'm big on Douglas retain and staying and returning as a general manager. And when he did sign on, he said he wanted a 6-year plan. This is year 4. Next year and beyond. Next year, you have to show us something. You got to win. So he's not out of the woods yet. Is the hot seat starting to warm up for the general manager here? But I don't think he deserves to leave. No way, no how. That's going to be a mistake if they go that route. But hey, this is Woody Johnson we're talking about. He's done some things that were head scratching moves. With Joe Douglas, I love the way he drafted this season. All his draft picks were really impactful. Um, Brees Hall. That injury to Brees Hall was a killer. The way he was running that football, controlling the game. Heck, he won that game against Miami, if you ask me. The way he controlled, he ran that game. It didn't ask much for Wilson. Wilson in the limited role with Bryce Hall controlling was well. They worked well as a tandem. I can see in a world where you say maybe we bring a healthy and another year with LaFleur and with Wilson. That when that Mike White, as soon as that Mike White shirt came out, I knew that was the end for Wilson. I don't think Wilson is salvageable here because then you really got to move from Wilson because of that. The team wants telling him, we don't want you, we want the backup, and it just doesn't look good. So I don't think Wilson psychologically is gonna work in here with this group of guys in the Jets. With that said, the offensive line. I know you're going to get Vera Tucker back healthy. Mekhi Becton. That is going to be the biggest mystery puzzle when it comes to Mekhi Becton. Is he going to be in shape? Is he going to be healthy enough? What is his mental state to come and play this game of football? Is he going to? Do you trust him to survive a football season, to be in shape, to bring the intangibles that you need? Personally, the Jets finished with that loss there. The Jets finished under to 7-10. They were picked 13 in the upcoming draft. Even if they would have won that game, they were not going. They weren't moving draft status. They were still going to manage, no matter what. They were going to come out drafting 13th. 13th, you go get the best lineman. Enough with you have good defense depending who they're gonna cut, who they're gonna retain, who's gonna resign. I gotta look at that. I'll have another video on who's remaining, who's free agent, who's a possibly cap casualty, and so forth when it comes to the defense and offense for the New York Jets. That's a different video. This is a reaction of the season, short term at the moment, where instant reaction to it, and we need offensive line as of right now. I'm like, whatever the draft is, you get an offensive lineman. I don't care if anyone who the hell falls down at 13th. And this is a can't miss offensive player. And I know we need offense. Because on paper we look like we have, and paper is as good as paper's as good as paper. You know what you do with paper. You can wipe your rear end with it. But the point is, on paper they have Garrett Wilson it's a number. You got your number one. You have in the skill position. The Jets are very well drafted and very well loaded, especially if Elijah Moore doesn't. They don't move him or they keep him. He's still on that rookie contract. You could still bring him back with Garrett Wilson. Although I still think they need a burner who could just stretch the floor. I mean, and have as a Garrett Wilson your number one and another burner who just goes out and flies. I don't think Corey Davis, as well as he is when he plays, he is effective, but he is too injury prone. If you want to cut that salary and move from him, I'm all right with it. I think they're pretty good at the tight end position. Osama was really good, and others were. I could see them very well stacked there. You always having room for improvement, but I don't see that's a position of necessity. You need, no matter, I don't care what offensive lineman, a center, a right tackle, left tackle, you go get the best available if it's available at the first round at 13. You go get offensive line help. Now you can always cut the punter, bring another punter in at training camp. I'm pretty sure that's the end of Brandman. We're going to see him as a punter for the Jets. He was horrible. What a bad season he had. Greg Zuerlein was Greg the leg, but then when it comes to the situation, when for survival, hey, it's not his fault. It was a 57-yard field goal, but still, if you hit one of those, you become a legend. You need a kicker who you're going to rely on to hit. So I could see them coming up with another kicker or punter. Special teams, if you want to get, that's why I think LaFleur might. There's a possibility LaFleur might return, but the special teams coach cannot return for the New York Jets. That special team touchdown that was allowed in New England, you could say started a spiral, and not saying that's the reason why they didn't make the playoffs, no, but that's the snowball effect that started this. And he had special teams. The Jets were ferocious all season. They got to do something with that as well. So what the Jets, I don't know what's the real answer. I mean, it's easier to say fire this guy, fire that guy, but you always got to have a replacement. Who do you want to bring here. And let's say this, if they, because they go, well, why don't you bring an offensive coordinator like Frank Reich? Or I don't, he's being interviewed for the Carolina job as a head coach. I don't know if he might be wanting to take a offensive coordinator position when, especially, if Salah doesn't work out, doesn't make the playoff next year, or you have a winning record, he might be gone. So now you're back again looking for work, a one and done coach or a lame duck coach, like they call. I don't know of an offensive coordinator with high value like a Gary Kubiak. I'm just throwing names as an example who's known as a good offensive coordinator, want to come here to Salah. Especially, what, the Jets only going to win 1 year. If we don't get it, turn it around. If I don't have a good quarterback, I don't know if I could. I don't know if I'm going to be unemployed again. One thing I will, if they do move from LaFleur, I know that he just got fired from Denver, and he was just, everyone was like, as a head coach, he stunk. You go Nathaniel Hackett. You call Nathaniel Hackett. You see, because he did develop he is a good developer of quarterback. He knows how to work with the young quarterback. I know in Denver it didn't work out due to the fact that he's now overseeing every bit of details. I think if you specialize or let him do his things, or I think he could get whoever the quarterback is here. That's another question. Jet fans, who do you want as a quarterback? The names are out there. There's the fantasy names and the more realistic, or you could see the Jets do this. You know, I say there's 25% chance that Zach Wilson returns as the New York Jets quarterback. He's coming back on his third year. They're gonna, and especially if they go with a Nathaniel Hackett, who's gonna work with him all off training camp, off season, with him to get him going. I could see where that buys Salah more time. Maybe that's the route they'll go. I'll fire the offensive coordinator. I'll bring in a developer of a quarterback that will work with Zach Wilson here and give me the season to get him right. Maybe that's what he's going to do. And when he has his exit interviews with Woody Johnson, maybe today or tomorrow, then in the next few days, maybe those are the things they're talking about, game plans. Do they go Derek Carr? I know that's the number one darling there for the Raiders. No, I don't think he's going to return to the Raiders. He's available. I don't know if they're going to be. I don't know if he's available to be a trade or free agent, but he will be. He will no longer be part of the Las Vegas Raiders quarterback. Could the Jets pull the trigger? He's only 31 years old. He's still relatively young. Um, you could get good 4 to 5 years out of him if he works out for the Jets. Then you're back again, especially when this team that is with they have the right players in the skill position, young under good contracts. Jermaine Johnson had a really good year. Quincy and Quentin Williams both played well. Curry under the online. You also, you had Franklin Myers played extremely well. Of course, you have our corners, Lamarcus Joyner, and the safeties. You DJ Reed. You got good players on the skill position and on defensive. You got pass rushers. Maybe you want to pull a trigger for Derek Carr to try to win. Of course, the darling picks, like everyone was saying, Aaron Rodgers, but he's coming back for $45 to $50 million. You think the Jets are going to trade for that contract for $50 million for a 38-year-old quarterback? That's Brett Favre 2.0 again. We saw what happened when we went to get Favre. He couldn't wait to get the heck out of here. He went after that one season. So I'm not. He's that kind of a loose cannon that I wouldn't want to bring in Aaron Rodgers here personally. As much as of a talented, and look, he last year he was reigning Super Bowl MVP. He could have been an MVP last season, and he won an MVP. So he's got the skill set, but the baggage, and of course a team that needs to learn how to win and hasn't won in so long, 54 years plus counting. They haven't won. They haven't been in the playoffs 12 years to go bring in Aaron Rodgers. If he starts with his shenanigans, it's like, oh my God, how much more in the darkness we have. And I know Derek Carr hasn't shown anything to move the needle neither. But at this point, what are your alternatives? You also have Jimmy Garoppolo, who cannot stay healthy. But when he does play, his teams are very successful. Part of the if LaFleur returns as the offensive coordinator, he knows the system. Came from that 49er system. If you bring in a Garoppolo, is it going to be something that's going to move the needles and is going to excite you? I don't know. I don't know if it will, Jet fans. For me personally, you got an AFC with Allen, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes right now. Carson Wentz, not Carson Wentz. The kid from Cincinnati, Joe Burrow. There's good quarterbacking in the AFC. Tough one there. Um, that's why I would have loved for Zach to pan out as our own developing quarterback. So Tua Tagovailoa doesn't even know if he's going to return. So there's a lot of uncertainties when it comes to the New York Jets and their quarterbacks. Of course, the other names out there, the other names out there that you could think of and like, no, we'll take a hard pass. Lamar Jackson, that's going to cost you a lot. And to be honest with you, Lamar Jackson is a running quarterback who's lately in the last 2 years been getting injury prone. And when you ask the Ravens fans how much frustrated they are with Lamar Jackson as a quarterback, doesn't win the big playoff game. And you know what? Sometimes if you come to New York where the lights are more bright, maybe he takes his game to another level and shines. We'll never know. We never know there. But he's another one that's going to cost you a big, big, big ransom. And I'm looking around and I'm just wish I had answers to these questions, and I just want to win. I'm a Jet fan who seen them go to 3 AFC title games, fall short on all 3 with Parcells, with Rex Ryan. I haven't seen them. Haven't it's been before my time seeing them in the Never seen them in the Super Bowl. We want to see win, not just one time and a nice feel good. We make it to the and then our bottoms fall off. We want sustainable winning. We're doing it right with this. Joe Douglas is doing it right, but when it comes to the quarterback, you gotta hit a grand slam on it. So I don't know if it's again. I don't know if it's the offensive line that needs the blame here, the offensive coordinator, or the quarterback. I think it's a little bit of both, and the head coach. I keep saying it. Flacco yesterday they played to just manage the game. They were run heavy, and then Garrett Wilson tried to take over the game a little bit too late, if you ask me. I think if they would have started off with Garrett Wilson in the beginning of the game, featuring him and going forward, Wilson, I think he has that much ability that he would have gotten into the end zone, and that probably possibly would have won the game. Skylar Thompson wasn't all that for the Jets. And kudos to the Jets defense. They played extremely well here in a game that meant nothing. They knew their faith was not gonna change, and they still managed to hold Miami to 3 field goals. Just 3 field goals, guys. 3 field goals. The offense did kaboots, nothing. I'm very disappointed in Xavier Knight. He started looked like a promising running back, but when you're running behind 3 backup offensive linemen, it's kind of I kind of don't. Yeah, it's kind of tough. And Michael Carter, the running back, took a step back this year. I expected better from him, his numbers after Bryce Hall went down. I was like, okay, I know they made that nice move to bring in Jerome from Jacksonville. He didn't pan out so well. Jim Johnson and Ty Johnson, another one who I thought was going to be an impactful the running backs. But when you have an offensive line that don't give you that push or don't open up holes, no one's going to run. No one's going to be able to run there. So again, but also if you're an offensive coordinator that knows your challenge in that area, maybe you pull some guards, you move some motions, you get up extra offensive line help. They Jets failed to show us an evolving offense. An offense coordinator who tries to see something different or make an adjustment, and we didn't. We saw almost the same nonsense week after week in that 6-game losing streak, the back and forth, and then it comes out now that Mike White had five damaged ribs, broken ribs, 5. You telling me in that game in Seattle when he played, if you didn't want to go with Wilson and you saw what Stregler gave, you should have went with Stregler. I mean, again, if this offseason, whoever this quarterback is, they need a backup quarterback immediately. They need, and please, one thing that I said it back then, and I wish I had my stream up to bring the receipts up. Last year, I said if we're gonna get a backup quarterback, we need a backup quarterback with similar skill sets that Zach Wilson has. Gardner Minshew, Tyron Taylor, something where he could learn as a backup and also relate to his struggles or relate to the same skill set. So the offense runs through the quarterback the same way your quarterback plays. Flacco does not play nowhere near what a Zach Wilson plays like. That's another mistake. I understand you got to bring someone to back up a veteran, but Flacco looks like he just wants to. Flacco looks like he just a quarterback out there that doesn't want to take his kids to school in the morning. He doesn't want to take his kids to the school in the morning. He doesn't want to go to no recitals. He just wants to go on the football field, be part of the group, work out, get a paycheck, and then he's a player. That's what it looked like. I'm sorry. That's the vibe I got from Joe Flacco. But it is what it is. We'll see what improvements they do. I just hope that the owner doesn't overreact. I hope the owner continues to evaluate and really, really put stock on what is happening here with the general manager. Now, the coach, I think the coach is 75. He comes back 25. He doesn't. I think that the general manager stayed. I think his general manager is 85-15 to stay or that stays, and 15% he leaves. I think the offensive coordinator, I think it will be 75% gone. And when it comes to the quarterback, I think Zach is 65-35. I think 65 he's gone, 35% they'll bring him back because I think the owner likes him. I think the owner wants it to work out with Wilson. I don't know why, but these owners see something different that we don't see. And of course, they own the team, and they sometimes do something different than what we expect out of the norm. But for the Jets, disappointing loss there to the Miami Dolphins. For the Miami Dolphins, they break a slide. They go back since 2016. They go back to the postseason. Oh boy, that head coach. That head coach was on the hot seat too. If they would have lost to the Jets, he would have been axed at 1 year and one and done because he could not challenge. He was overwhelmed challenging. He won his first challenge yesterday against the Jets out of all teams. So he was, they take that tough assignment against Buffalo. So the Buffalo Bills takes on the Miami Dolphins. A lot. All the first rounds are rematches of this year, 2022. All played in the regular season. All those are rematches. So, and most of them, I believe, almost 3/4 are divisional flows. So the football wild card weekend is going to be a fun one. Of course, we'll see what the Jets do here in another year. Another year we're waiting. Another year we're going to wait and get all excited in draft night when the Jets are on the clock. And just hopefully we get a good draft. I felt so good when we did the draft here. We did the watch along, and when we got these players, I was excited. It's like, man, we got some, and you know what? They did well on the field year one, but another year again waiting for the draft. And by the way, the Jets are eligible for that HBO program, the HBO series Hard Knocks. So I won't be surprised if they put the cameras back in Forum Park here, unless if they get a new head coach. But if they don't, they will be a major candidate for Hard Knocks. It'll be interesting there. Hey, look, Salah's looks like he's a good coach, but he looks like he needs to make better decisions. He needs to know how to clock management, when to call timeouts, when not to use timeouts, and he has to know not allow certain teammates or players to get away with certain things in the media or aesthetically wise. That's all I gotta say with Salah. I'm all right if he returns. If they make a change, I'm all right with it either way. I'm 50-50 with it if they do or don't. So we'll see what happens with the New York Jets. So that is the New York Jets Jets-Alorian reports of the year. The year they're 7-10, but if you would have said in the postseason, if you would have told me in July or after the draft, well, the Jets are going to be playing meaningful game in December and possibly one in January, I bet everyone would have said, "Ooh, we'll sign up for it," comparing to last year. But when you start seeing the way it playing out, where they were 7-4 in Thanksgiving week, they were 7-4, looked like they were going to be the 5th or the 6th seed of the postseason, and then to go on a 6-game losing streak, and the way they looked, going 3 games without scoring a touchdown, no touchdown. Yeah, that's not a good sign for the offensive coordinator, because you used three different quarterbacks and you didn't get in the end zone. So something's up, and there's talent. It's not like they were challenged talent wise. When you have Wilson, Davis, and company, Elijah Moore, it's, and also another way, the way he handled certain players, it's just, the more I want to talk about it, the more I get irate when it comes to Salah and LaFleur. I was saying, get the stuff underneath. You got guys who run after the catch, break some tackles. You got talented players. I didn't get their play calling, but it is what it is, guys. So the Jets, disappointing season. It hurts at the moment. It really irates you, because they were better than what they were supposed. They over exceeded expectation, but they played, when you over exceeded and you see what they're capable of, you were left with the desire that they could have done more. Another year they could have done more. Is this, and the only difference that I'm going to say, saving grace, is when they did that a couple years ago in the Todd Bowles, under Todd Bowles, when they lost that game in Buffalo, and they only had to win and get in. They actually had a good chance to go on a deep playoff run, but you knew that it was just a short term success, because we knew Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't going to be a long term solution. Decker wasn't going to be. Well, Decker fell off the face of the earth afterwards. You saw Brandon Marshall never was the same. Their window was very small. At least with this Jet window, with all the young talent that came in here, the window is slightly a little bit open and could be open. There's more room for the window to open. It all depends on the quarterback. It all depends on the quarterback how much of a window they're going to open. So at least that gives us a little bit of hope for the New York Jets in this upcoming season. They just gotta start winning. They just gotta start winning and start changing the narrative going forward. So with that said, I want to thank you guys for joining me. I just wanted to give a quick note about the New York Giants. They'll take down the Minnesota Vikings. That will be on Sunday at 4. So Giants in the postseason. We'll look for a video for the New York Giants breakdown. But for me, Diane BX Sports Jedi Kev, thank you for joining me, for allowing me to talk about the Jets and vent about the New York Jets, and just to see what goes on. Any news, breaking news that happens with our offensive coordinator or anyone there, we will definitely come out with another reaction video, and we'll see what they do going forward. Again, don't forget, please hit those likes, and we'll see you next time here on the Jets-Alorian.